inviting me to really connect at this forum. I would like to start off, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very interesting topic, and I've, been on and off listening to the conversation, the kind of questions being asked. And while I'm not an HR person, I'm in fact one of the people making the lives of HR people a bit difficult. Yet, as I do that, I realize that no one will be more critical to the success and value of companies than their humanity. And then one who is a shepherd of this humanity within the workplace. And once I read an interview of Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, he said two executive committee members are the closest ally of CEO. One is the CFO and other is the CHRO. And in today's world, the way we do business has drastically changed. Over the past few years, Pakistan has undergone massive shocks in the macroeconomy in terms of inflation, brain drain, political instability, and last but not the least, a tectonic shift being experienced globally in the new ways of working, particularly post-COVID. As organizations continue to navigate the local and global uncertainty, the role of the CHRO remains at the heart in the face of adversity to drive sustainable value creation for the organization, which happens to be the today's subject. But how do you do when everything you offer in your value equation, everyone else does too, and that too soon? Remember the age-old adage, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I heard Sadaf talking about the culture as well with a similar passion. This sharp insight captures the full truth of what drives successful organizations. While strategies can be planned and tactic devised, it is the underlying culture that determines the sustainability of success. And who else can be the supreme custodian of the company culture? It's no one but the CHRO. And I think so that's what I want to basically elaborate more on this. An employee value proposition, which in normal terminology we call EVP, no matter how strong, is never unique for life, which makes the employee value proposition tricky too. Anyone will pay more, give bigger titles, faster growth, but no one can manufacture culture and values that you have weaved into your core. I'm a big fan of Peter Drucker, and Peter Drucker once famously said that company cultures are like country cultures. Never try to change one. Try instead to work with what you have got. And this recognizes that what can be inherent in your organization, working with its strengths and making it into the sticky factor that no one is willing or easily able to leave behind. As you know, we all have moved on, and yes, with good reasons, but some places it's been harder to move on from, as within our core we feel like we are leaving behind a part of ourselves. And this is the ultimate success of the CHRO. While capability, talent, career, growth, and performance are indeed critical, they are a natural outcome of any company where people feel a sense of mission beyond money, ownership beyond accountability, and relationship beyond responsibility. Corporate cultures matter. How management chooses to treat its people impacts everything for better or for worse. This insight from Simon Sinek reminds us that the behavior of a leader sets the tone for the entire organization. Effective leaders model the values and behaviors they want to see, creating a ripple effect through the company. Because what is culture if not behavior at scale? This means that culture is not just about what is stated in the company mission or a vision statement, but is reflected in the daily actions and interactions of every employee. And each person plays a part in shaping the collective culture. Um, I've realized that great cultures are an intangible asset. You feel them when you are within the four walls of a place, and they are infectious. Culture shapes how employees interact, make decisions, and live the company value. At our organization, the CHRO understands that culture is the one competitive advantage that cannot be copy pasted. This unique culture becomes your true differentiator. And the CHRO, alongside his or her CEO, should be committed to creating a cultural advantage that resonates deeply with employee and beyond through their values, their families, their happiness, and their sense of purpose. Now, let me share some inside stories of, of Unilever to basically make it come alive. I worked for this company for around 25 years now, here and outside Pakistan. But even as CEO, what I felt and experienced when our CHRO, along with our corporate department, did our first, what you call, parent team meeting was strangely unique. I felt the nervousness I once had felt as a child during parent-teacher meeting. But this time the tables were turned. I held my mother's hand and watched her nervousness transform into pride as she heard colleagues praise my work. And over 300 other probably felt the same with me as they shared their work lives with their parents, celebrating the people who have supported us throughout this journey, touring the office, taking photos, and shared meals, creating memories that underscore the connection our personal and professional lives. And similarly, when our HR function did one activity which we call Kids at Work, hundreds of employees could share their place of work with their kids. And while a boardroom and a ball pit don't go together, we saw that. Hundreds of kids running around the workplace, owning it. It is another level of psychological safety because we could never bring loved ones to a place we can't feel 100% confident about. And we have redefined our employees' value proposition to include not just our community at work, but also employees' families. And we had a summer camp right in our office last summer. And our function introduced another program similar, which is called Kids Who Work program for the children of our employees aged between 12 to 17 to experience our workplace. For 4 weeks, these young minds brought energy and creativity into our office, learning about the professional world where they're about to step in and helping them make informed career choices. Through this very immersive challenge, we encourage them to think from a very fresh perspective and explore how different parts of the business work together. Once again, our CHRO made an effort to ensure that connection sustained beyond departure, hosting our first ever alumni events meetup. It was a true testament to how Unilever never leaves you. And so many of those who are no longer work here turned up to celebrate old and meaningful relationships. From past to present, purpose is an especially important value proposition for the new generation. And any insightful CHRO would understand the significance. Today, workspace, especially the Gen Z, want purpose and meaning in the work they do and want to create a positive impact in their communities. And to do so, we want to mirror the mix of the country and operate as Unilever of Pakistan rather than Unilever in Pakistan, thereby giving back to Pakistani people. Our search for purpose begins with our onboarding, is the Discover Your Own Purpose workshop where employees go through a soul-searching exercise to identify their purpose in life and whether it matches what they are doing in their careers. And all these sessions are again led by the HR function and goes to show the importance that we as an organization. Another example of our dedication to a purpose-led culture is our initiative of living wages, where we basically launch a campaign that tankhwa guzare like nahi, jeene like honi chahiye. And as an organization, embracing the recognition that salaries should enable a life worth living, not just surviving. We gave everyone in the company a sense of purpose. Every Excel sheet, every PowerPoint, every factory line, to board meeting, to shop front, our HR function made everyone feel that we are working for something bigger than ourselves. And this came alive with Unilever of Pakistan and ambition to become the most soulful and most inclusive employer of choice. Culture plays an extremely important role in retaining talent. Therefore, the CHRO plays a critical role in building a culture conducive to learning, developing talent, and nurturing bonds at work. Humanism continues to be at the heart of our strategy for a chief human resource officer. Focusing on culture isn't just important, it's the ultimate value proposition from my perspective. A strong culture fuels innovation, performance, and competitiveness. It creates a cohesive environment where employees are motivated to their best, leading to a competitive edge that both enduring and unique. And the proposition is complemented by the ability of the organization to deliver on its purpose and business with speed and agility. Uh, I would like to share that I've come across in the research carried out by Bain and Company, and they assess the relative productivity of a dissatisfied, satisfied, engaged, and inspired employees. So four types of employees. And through a research, it was proven that if satisfied employees are productive at an index of 100, dissatisfied at 71, which means 29% lower than a satisfied employee, an engaged employee is productive at 144, which means 44% more productive than the satisfied employee and 100% more than the dissatisfied employee. But then comes the real kicker. And that inspired employees, which is the ultimate point, are scored 225 on the scale. In other words, it takes 2.25 satisfied employees to generate the same output as one inspired employee. Building and maintaining a strong company culture is not just a strategic task, but a fundamental necessity. Everything else can be copied and pasted, but your DNA is uniquely your own. This is what I believe a CHRO alongside CEO can help create a sustainable value creation. Not only better grades or better pay or better titles, all of that is natural if your soul and your core feels aligned where you are. I'll stop here and thank you for giving me, the undivided attention. And yeah, I'll stop.
Wonderful. Very powerful conversation, Amir. It really motivates us, I think. And you talked about some of the reality-based things happening at the Unilever. And I would like to relate it with definitely some of the global things. For example, the Tomo Ocean, which is the organization in the United States carries out the valuation of 500 Fortune companies. They find that 90% of value creation comes from the intangible. And that's the reality. And you mentioned about the purpose, definitely very lofty thing for everyone, particularly for the next generation. It's important for everyone. You talked about the sustainable value creation, which is at the heart of the purpose of the organization. And some of the things that are unique, that you can call the unconventional thing that you're doing at the Unilever to promote that culture. For example, kids at the workplace, the alumni network. So definitely these are very remarkable initiatives. I want to understand, and I'm sure the other would also like to understand, how all these things correlate with the performance of the organization. Any performance indicator, I'm sure that you would have the tangible and the intangible performance indicators. So any insight on it so that it becomes a business case for the organization to, explore all these areas to, any thoughts on that?
No, so Zahir Saab, I think it's a very relevant question and very appropriate question, because at the end of the day, we are entrusted by the shareholders on their behalf to generate the ROI on the investments they have made on the company through investing in the shares. locally and globally. And therefore, the eventual yardstick happens to be, while this is all great, culture is great, kids at work and kids who work and purpose, and this is all fantastic. But is it all driving a higher productivity or not? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think so towards the end, when I basically referred to the Bain research, that there are four type of employees. One is dissatisfied, satisfied, engaged, and inspired. And we have seen that when employees are inspired, they're driven, they're engaged, because they feel that they are being taken care. They feel that they're feeling soulful. They come and they give 150% of them. Yeah? And when they give 150% of them, they produce competitive growth, both the top line and the bottom line. And to be honest, at Unilever Pakistan, we have experienced that, because in the last 3 to 4 years, since we've actually gone and doubled down on our purpose. We have always been a purpose-led company, but we've really doubled down big time. Our company has actually size have doubled in the last 4 odd years, and we have grown competitively, and we basically have been recognized globally at a Unilever level as well. So what's important is the balance. You cannot skew the company towards culture that becomes very softy, and you cannot basically drive the company so hard that people only come to work and they feel burnt out. The right balance, where people come to work and they feel engaged and inspired, they find the work meaningful, they find purposeful towards the end of the day, but they equally basically drive satisfaction that they are driving competitive growth and they are growing in the outside market. So a right balance is very important. So I call it dynamic equilibrium. And you have to be constantly ensuring that dynamic equilibrium needs to be there. It's not a one-time you strike it. You have to constantly basically ensure that while you drive the right culture, you also need to basically keep ensuring that whether the performance is coming against or not. And if not, you need to basically strike that equilibrium, and therefore that dynamism is required.
Wonderful. So that kind of harmony between, you can call the inputs and outputs, and the outcome is critical. Okay, so there's one question. The question is regarding the managing the millennials and the Generation Z. What kind of challenges do you encounter, if there are any challenges? And I would like to add on to this question that in the organization, when you have this kind of culture which is focused on integration, there are always the challenges of being conflict, because you have the people from all the age groups, Generation X, Y, millennial. So we would like to hear your thoughts on it. How do you manage their integration to work in a more harmonized way, in a singular direction, rather than being in conflict on some of the areas?
So I think, so Zahid Saab, as I've said it in the very beginning, that the whole world is going through a massive tectonic shift. And that's basically in the new ways of working, which millennials are now demanding. Today, the average size of Unilever Pakistan, the average age of Unilever Pakistan is 37 years old. And it's getting younger by the day. So it's a very young organization. I think so it will get further younger by the day. And therefore, it's important, that when we talk about purpose, all these millennials or Gen Zers, they basically prefer to, when they choose to, pick where they would like to work, they would like to first see, is the work they're going to be doing, is it basically add meaning to their life? Is the work purposeful or not? While the paycheck is important, but for them, that's the last thing on their priority list. What's more important is the meaningfulness that actually the work brings to them. So therefore, what we have been trying to do is how we navigate our organization towards offering the millennials a workplace and an environment that suits their requirement. And hence, the two words are very important for any organization. One is the flexibility, and the other is agility. That how flexible the organization is, because earlier the organizations used to be very rigid in their policy framework, and earlier the organizations used to be very, very agile, very, very one size fits all. Now you need to basically have a very agile organization. Earlier, the whole model to run the show was command and control. The new model is basically trust and inspire. And I think so that's the shift that's happening in any organization who will not be able to exercise flexibility and agility. I think so is doomed, to fail in the days to come, because it's changing very fast, and we are trying to basically making these changes within, because we have to manage both the sides. We have some loyal, very old people. We do not want to alienate them. Yeah. But equally, we have to basically have the right balance that we want to attract the young, upcoming talent. So it's the right mix of a fresh talent and experienced people that who will run the show and build the organization for the future.